Praveen sir, you also give that instruction that all of the participants should
Yes, sir.
switch off their audio.
Yes, sir. Uh, so we are going to start now. Uh, a very warm welcome to all participants. Welcome to webinar series organized by D.Y. Patil University School of Pharmacy. So in this webinar series, we are going to conduct a webinar on different topics, especially from the point of view of student. So I request all participants to attend it very sincerely and gain whatsoever knowledge delivered by the eminent speaker. I request before starting to all participants to follow instruction properly. Keep your mic mute so that it will be a very smooth webinar. So let's start with the first webinar of today. That webinar is on guidance for education and job opportunities in USA. So currently we are knowing that the world is going through a different situation, but soon it is going to revert back to the normal. And US education is one of the good area, good era where we can see lots of opportunities. So to enlighten on this topic, today we have a eminent speaker, Dr. Rahul Nahire. So let me introduce to our today's speaker, Dr. Rahul Nahire. Dr. Rahul Nahire, he has done his B Pharma from NMVP College of Pharmacy, Nasik. Then he did MS in Pharmaceutical Analysis from Naipur, Hyderabad, and PhD from North Dakota State University, Fargo, USA. Currently, he is working as lab director. He is a lab director for 5 laboratories. He is having many accolades to his credit. He is also excuse me. He is also consultant to different firms. Along with that, he is a technical supervisor, clinical consultant, technical consultant. He was an associate director, lead toxicologist, research assistant, research trainee, and all this he has worked before. He is an editorial board member of Journal of Clinical Toxicology, Edorium Journal of Forensic Science, Clinical Pharmacology and Toxicology Research, Pulse Publisher, Journal of Pharm and Farm Sciences, Asian Journal of Pharma and Clinical Research. He has a 2 patent to his credit and 10 research paper at peer-reviewed journal. So we have a very resource person, knowledgeful person on today's topic. Before begin with his talk, I would request our principal, Dr. Rakesh Somani sir, to have few words for this webinar. Somani sir, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Praveen Jagtap for giving me an opportunity to talk here. So, dear students and all my fellow colleagues who are watching this webinar, it gives me an immense pleasure on behalf of D.Y. Patil University School of Pharmacy, Navi Mumbai, to welcome all you for this webinar activities. So from today onwards, we are conducting this webinar series. Those who can remember that we had conducted a similar kind of webinar series in the last month as well. And this is our second kind of series from our side. This is a contribution from our side for the professional development. And we sincerely wish that the knowledge across the field should be provided to all the students, not limited to our students, but each and every student of the pharmacy profession or who wish to enter into pharmacy profession. And with this sheer understanding and with this sheer interest, we have started this webinar series. And today, our in the first issue of this webinar series, we have Dr. Rahul Nahire, all the way from United States of America for you people to inform about various aspects of the education there and the allied part. So I let me welcome Dr. Rahul Nahire on this forum formally, and I'm thankful to Mr. Praveen Jagtap for bringing him in on this particular platform. So, Dr. Rahul, I will be glad to see you physically also in our campus whenever you come back to Mumbai, India, and it will be a long association with us. Henceforth, we will be glad if we can, collaborate together, work together for the betterment of the profession, betterment of the student community. And now the session is over to you. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for joining all the students and the parents here. Thank you.
Uh, just before begin, I would like to make one announcement. Once the session is over, you can ask the question in chat section. Especially, you can forward question to me. Okay, thank you. Over to you, Rahul sir.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jagtap sir, and thank you, Dr. Somani, for the kind words. And thanks everybody who has joined. And it's my privilege to talk to all of you, especially pharmacy students. And I myself finished my B Pharma long back in 2007. So and I haven't got any opportunity where I could interact with pharmacy students, young pharmacy students. So this is a good opportunity for myself, someone like me, to talk to you and share my experience and whatever I have done till now. Right now, I'm in the United States, and I'm working as a library director. So I just wanted to share my journey and give you an overview what it takes for someone like me who comes from a middle class family and comes from a town like Nasik. And we always think that that some dreams are we cannot achieve, those are unattainable, but it's always possible. So this presentation is just my attempt to share my journey and inspire you, some of you, as a take this as one of the career options or a career move, where you can either go abroad. And because I'm in United States, so I'll be endorsing United States more and my experiences here, so that you guys are well prepared. So, and again, don't get me wrong, when I'm praising United States or when I'm telling you what my experiences are, that doesn't mean, that other countries or India, the education or the resources are, those are not. So all countries have their strengths, and, all education system in different countries have their strengths and their weaknesses. And we know that, all these developed countries, because they are developed and they have all the resources, they have solid system and they get a lot of funding. So a lot of good research goes on. So I will start my presentation. I have made few slides. There are, you see, those slides more for myself, so that I can. All right. I hope everybody can see the presentation.
Yes, we can see.
Yes, it's visible.
All right. Okay. All right. So first I'll start with, why someone should think of studying abroad. Why should, think of going for a job abroad? And as you might know, the answer is obvious for some people, but, why it is important, So if I talk about the studies, if I talk about the education, the first thing I can think of is ease of admission. So that doesn't mean that you get admission abroad easily. Of course, it's difficult. But again, as I told you, the competition in India, where we have like PhD seats in a particular university or jobs in a particular pharmaceutical industry, but there are a lot of people competing for that. So when you are going abroad, probably you're competing with less number of students. And also, if you have a good score and good profile, uh, it's very easy for you to get admissions abroad, because all these Western countries, developed countries, they are in search of talent like we have in India. So it's very easy to get the admission if you have right kind of profile, right kind of scores for your exams. The wide spectrum of degrees and courses, not that we don't have all the degrees and courses offered in India, but in India we are still following that, that strict, rigid uh, uh, structure, academic structure, where if you want to do PhD in pharmacology, you need to have experience in pharmacology. If you want to do PhD something in administration, you need to have an experience or some degree in administration. So there are always prerequisites. And also, when you enter into master's program and PhD program, the university sets the courses firmly, and you cannot learn any other courses. You have to take those courses. So what these abroad universities or universities in United States, they do it, they offer you various degrees and courses. They don't bound you to particular courses. Of course, there are some mandatory courses, like if you are doing chemistry, PhD in chemistry, of course, there are some certain courses in chemistry you have to take, but you have to finish some courses where you don't have any restrictions. You can choose any courses of your choice. So when we talk about chemistry, and of course there are different types of chemistry, biochemistry, physical chemistry, and so depending on your liking or whatever your plan for future, you can always choose those courses, and those courses can help you for better career or prospects, or that will help you in future. So that flexibility is there abroad more compared to what we have back in our India. Opportunities and resources, and again for studies it's very important, you get the opportunities. So again, if there are opportunities available outside India, where you can go and study, why not? When you go abroad, when you leave the country, someone else can take your place, back in India. So I always think that way. Some people might think, going abroad, it's like you are, you are not being patriotic, you're not giving back to your country and all that. And I get that, but at the same time, I think it as, when you go abroad and do good work, not just in studies and job, you're representing India, and you are learning new things, and you always have choice to go back to India. So, and at the same time, when you go outside for masters or PhD, that seat which you might take in India that someone else can take, and uh, you're helping your profession in a way. So it's good opportunity, and resources, especially funding. As you know, the healthcare research, it takes, it's expensive. And it needs money. And because these Western countries, those are already developed, they are not spending much on infrastructure because they already have that in their country. They already built the roads, they already built libraries and everything. So they have money which they can spend in research. So there is a lot of funding goes into the research. And if you are interested in research, you want to do research, you cannot do anything if you don't have funding. And if you talk to anybody in India or abroad, what is the most important thing to do research? Knowledge is okay, you can get the knowledge through books, but unless you do the experiment, and unless you publish the papers, the research won't go anywhere. And there will be no innovations, there will be no new drugs, there will be no new treatments. So the resources, the funding is important. The second is quality of education. So of course, like there are a lot of institutes, premier institutes, in India, just like where you are studying right now. There are good faculties, there are uh, great libraries, there are great resources, great teachers which are available. But at the same time, the model, the study model in the Western countries and in India is different. And I'll give you a little bit about details about it. Like, I'll just give you one example. Like, here, when the course starts, when I enter into a course, what they do is they give you a questionnaire, and the questionnaire will be about the course, the questions from the course, and you just need to answer those questions. So what the teacher does is, he gives that questionnaire to everybody. Everybody fills that. Of course, they are taking this course, they are not gonna have answers to all the questions. So, but that data is taken and, put it into their system. And when the course is done, that same questionnaire is given to the students. And what they do is, again, students answer that question, and then that teacher, that they compare those results, like how much the students have learned during this course. And it's a simple thing, like some of the teachers, some of the universities might be already doing it in India. But when I came to United States, I found it really interesting. Like, it's so simple, to find out whether students learned it or not. When you give exam only at the end, you don't know how much they knew and how much they know right now. So it's a kind of, good check on, how much they learned through that particular course. And at the same time, when you go abroad, you broaden your experiences, and not just professional experience, but at the same time your personal experiences. You get exposed to different kind of study culture, the work culture. If you're doing a job, you get exposed to different kind of languages, people from different countries, and it's a great life experience. And again, not just professional, the personal. And I think, in my opinion, like, every one of us, want to travel, want to meet different kind of people from different culture, taste different kind of food. And US, or any other Western countries where they get students from different parts of world, it's a great thing. Like, you make friends with people, from US to Japan to China to Pakistan, you just name it. You met all different kinds of people, and that's a great experience. So I always recommend people, to go abroad, if not for study or job, just travel and meet different cultures. And in terms of jobs, why you should go abroad for jobs, again, the quality of work and research, because same thing with the studies, it's the funding, all these multinational companies, and they have great research being done, so we can always get involved. The work culture here is good, like, again, these are already developed, so they don't have to work hard. In India, we cannot afford that. A lot of companies, although some companies do have, 2-day weekend, Monday to Friday working. So it is an option, like, you can have a good work and life balance. But it's very common in US and abroad that, to have a 9-to-5 jobs, and you go back to your family after 5, and also you can spend your life, when you get Saturday and Sunday. But if you have only Sunday, it's very difficult. And some of you, you might have seen, some of your seniors or your friends, discuss with them, talk to them, how it is about. And of course, dollars, like money. So it's always the conversion, like dollar to rupee or euro to rupee, it's and always, when we think of money in India, it's always, we think it in a bad way, like earning money is always, people think it as an evil thing. But it's always good, only when you can when you earn money, you can help others. I always think it that way. When you get money, only then you can give it back to the society. Only you can do good research, only you can fulfill your experiences. So, but again, there are different countries. There are different countries where you can go. So I would like, why someone would choose United States? Oh, sorry, okay. So why one should choose USA? So there are like people like Indians go all over the world. Like UK, Europe, Australia, Canada. These are the most popular destinations for studies and job. And uh, the USP of USA, so to speak, is again, the quality of education, and opportunities, funding, what you get. But what sets apart USA from the other countries is some of these things like work permit. Like not all countries give you permit to work after your graduation. So there is a thing called OPT, optional practical training. So when you get a degree in United States, you get a work permit for 3 years. So you can work in United States for 3 years on student visa itself. So I know some of my friends, they did their studies somewhere in Europe, but just after finishing their studies, they had to leave that country. And you getting degree somewhere in outside and you are coming back to India immediately, I don't think that's a good thing. Like you need to have some kind of experience of working in that particular country so that it helps you, even if you have to come back or if you want to come back to India and work. That experience is really important. So what United States does is, all the STEM program students, STEM is like science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So not everybody gets the work permit. Like if you are doing something in art or dance or something, you don't get that permit. But if you are from one of these disciplines, science, technology, engineering, and and mathematics, and of course pharmaceutical sciences, or pharmacy falls in that. So you get that permit for 3 years, which is really great, in terms of your experiences. So even though you don't want to stay in United States forever, you don't want to apply for work visa or something, you can still work for there for 3 years and come back. An opportunity for permanent residency, immigration. And again, not all countries are immigration friendly. And if you know that, I think the only other countries which I can think of is Australia and Canada, which are really immigration friendly, or they try to take skilled workers or smart people. They want smart people, intelligent people, educated people to be their residents, so that that helps their economy. And United States has great immigration policy, and as you know, US itself is a country of immigrants. So there was no country before. Everybody came from Europe, from Africa, from India, China. So United States is a great boiling pot, where people from all the different countries come and they contribute. And US has great immigration policy. So that is one of the reasons why you should choose USA. And of course, they are the world leaders in terms of research and innovation. Although you see like other developing countries, like China or India, we are also doing good in terms of that. But US specifically, as they have been doing for past over 100 years or so, they have been doing that really well. So planning, how do we plan for that? So because most of the viewers right now, they are from pharmacy college, I'll talk in pharmacy terms or pharmacy degree, but it can be applied to any discipline, any degree course. So whatever I'm telling right now is what I did, my personal experience, or what I think is the right way to do it. So when you enter into any program, degree program, first year, the first year of pharmacy, I remember myself, because pharmacy profession does not have that glamour which engineering and medical profession has. And it has always been like that. I don't know right now what's the situation, but whenever someone says pharmacy, we are always being, told about pharmacy stores. People don't know what is there beyond pharmacy. So first year, I remember it was really confusing for me. We most of us were trying to be doctors, and then we couldn't be doctor, and then we got into pharmacy, but we didn't realize the vast scope, or the wide spectrum of the fields in the pharmacy itself. So the first year, I think you should spend in understanding the pharmacy field. What is pharmacy, what exactly it is. And it's not just pharmacy, it's a pharmaceutical science. What is the science behind it? There is research goes, there are different companies, there are jurisprudence, pharmacognosy. There are so many fields which we are, nobody talks about it, and we are not about it. So first year, I think you should spend understanding your field, be it pharmacy or engineering or anything. In second year, you need to start deciding on what you want to do, in your life, or after your degree, or what you want to do in job or business. You need to start thinking about future in second year, and once you decide in second year, you need to start working towards that. So in second and third year, you should also simultaneously start working for the exams. Like if you want to do MBA, of course, then you should start preparing for MBA. If you want to do business, you should start thinking of getting internship somewhere, in industry. And if you want to think of going somewhere in Europe, IELTS exam is what you need, and start preparing for that. If you want to go for GRE, then which is a exam required for graduation or any course in United States, start preparing for it. But second year and third is where you actually start preparing for those exams. And in final year, where you actually execute those plans. You actually give those entrance exams, be it GMAT or GATE or GRE, IELTS, TOEFL, whatever those exams are, you need to execute. But again, it's these 4 years. In each year you decide, you plan, and that plan you execute. Then only things will fall in place. Otherwise, you will end up getting whatever offered to you. So you should have all the strings in your hand and not somebody else. So plan accordingly. And then just planning doesn't work, right? You need to study. And when I study, not just books and for the exams. Of course, you need to study for GRE and TOEFL exams. You cannot prepare for these exams, in few months. Like it needs years of, planning and learning. But you also need to do what you want to do after your B Pharma. What you want to do after your graduation? Do you want to do masters? You want to do PhD? You want to go into marketing or industry? So whatever you want to study about that, study about that field or that decision. Okay, what if I do masters? What if I do PhD? Is it good to do that? Is it good to do MBA? So start studying that. Talk to your seniors. Talk to people like me. Talk to your advisors, your faculties. Someone like Dr. Somani, who has seen a lot of students throughout his career. How the trend is changing. So you need to take. You need to study that. You need to study not just books, but you need to study this, what's going on in the market, what's going in the United States, what's going in India in terms of job opportunities. And if you decide on, getting masters, getting higher degree, you should start thinking of expenses, and of course you are applying abroad, you're applying in United States. Of course, there'll be tuition fees. Of course, there'll be expenses. Where are you going to get those expenses from? Are you going to ask your parents, or are you planning to get the job first and earn some money for a few years and then go for GRE and then go for applications? So decide on that. And again, and then last point is assistantship. Start finding out the assistantships. Abroad and in India also, there are a lot of opportunities available for assistantship. In US, there are research assistantship, teaching assistantship, and there are a lot of on-campus jobs. And there are also tuition waivers. So if you are good students, you get good CGPA score. If you have good GRE scores, you are more likely to get this, and that takes out a lot of burden from your, financial burden from you. So start planning for that. Start studying all these options, what you can do, what you cannot do, and then try and start executing it. So I will go more in details about GRE and TOEFL. And the reason, of course, these are the most important factors deciding whether you are going to get into a particular university for your master's or for your PhD. So GRE stands for Graduate Record Examination. It's an aptitude test. There is a subject GRE also, like for the basic sciences. If you want to do a master's or PhD in basic sciences, like chemistry, biology, physics, there is an examination called subject GRE, where they test your knowledge in that subject. But this GRE, general GRE exam, is just the aptitude test where they just check your aptitude, how smart you are, how intelligent you are, your critical thinking. And it has 3 different sections. It has verbal section where they test your English, your comprehension of English. Then there is a quantitative section. Quantitative section is mathematics. It's a 12th grade. If I compare it to our 12th grade mathematics, it's that hard or a little bit harder than that. But we Indians are good at maths. Most of us. I was not great, but we manage. We are good at mathematics. So we are really, most of the time, we are good with mathematics. What we need to work on is verbal. The English here, it's really tough. It's not like just talking and speaking. That is a part of TOEFL, which I'm going to talk about. But the English in GRE is really, it's really hard. And it's good that, you start preparing from, as I said, you cannot improve your English, in few months. You have to work on it. Start reading the novels, start reading newspapers, and improve your English. It takes a couple of years for you to improve your English. So that one section. And there will be an analytical section where they check your analytical capability. You need to write on a topic. That topic can be anything, academic topic or political or poetry or art. And you get an option, to like 3 different options. You need to choose between them. And in that also, there will be one argumentative section where you need to debate or argue on a particular topic. There'll be 2 sides of the argument. You need to take either one, or you can talk about the both. But they check your analytical skill. They check how you can write about a particular topic. So it's made up of these 3 sections, and this GRE score is valid for 5 years. So, and you can take GRE and the TOEFL anytime in the year. It's not like it's once a year or twice a year. You can take GRE anytime. There are different in Mumbai and in all big cities. There are centers where you can, prometric centers where you can take this GRE. So whenever you are ready, you can give that examination, and the score is valid for 5 years. So it's not like, if you give examination this year, you can only apply this year or something. For next 5 years, that score is valid, and you can use that score for admission in United States and also many other countries. So when I was giving GRE like 10 years before, there were only few countries which used to accept GRE, but now there are many more countries which accept GRE score. So it's good. So the other thing required is TOEFL. TOEFL is test of English as a foreign language. And here they are not testing your intelligence or your aptitude. Here they are just checking whether you are good at English. In English, like when you go in United States, like when you study in campus, whether you will be understand. If someone is talking to you in campus, whether you will be able to understand. Can you read English? Can you understand? When you listen to English, can you interpret it correctly? Can you speak fluently? Can you write eloquently, like these 4 skills they check. And again, they don't test your expertise in, English. They just check whether basic, you have the basics of English or not. And TOEFL scores are valid for 2 years. And this GRE and TOEFL score are the first your foot into the door, of the university, because every university will have a cutoff. Like they'll have GRE cutoff and they'll have TOEFL cutoff. For TOEFL, for example, some universities have 90 out of 120. You need to have minimum score of 90 out of 120 if you want to apply to this university. So if you don't have it, you cannot apply it. Even if you apply it, the graduate school there, they won't pass your application to the department. So GRE and TOEFL scores are important. But if you're going for PhD, that's not it. If you're going for masters, that's not it. There are many things to it. So I will talk about the application process. So getting GRE score and TOEFL score is not enough. There are other things which are important. So the one thing which okay, let me see. Okay, let me move this here so that I can see presentation. Oh, okay. Sorry, you guys can see the slide. Okay.
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay. All right. So having GRE and TOEFL score is not enough. You need to build a profile. And when you're coming to United States for research, of course, you need to improve on your research profile. And how can you tell someone sitting in United States that you're a good researcher, you are really interested in research, you are really interested in higher studies? How can you show that? You can tell them, you can write it in your application, you can write it in your profile, but that's not enough. So you need to have some documentation, and for that you need to have some kind of publications, some kind of presentations, be it poster presentation, oral presentation. You need to have some documentation of your work as a research. And good thing to start with is start talking to your professors, those who are doing the research. Ask them if you can help them. Ask your if you have MPharm students in your college, if you have PhD students in your college, if they are doing research, ask them for, can I work for you, for an hour or two, once or twice in a week. That way you get your names into their publications, contribute to that research, and you will learn a lot of things. You will learn how research is done. At the same time, you will start publishing, you will start going to different conferences, and that will help you explain all these professors abroad that why you deserve admission, why you deserve to get admission into their program and get that funding. So it's very important you start building up your profile. The second thing is communication. And when I say communication, it's really important you to communicate with the professors abroad, students abroad. Someone like me who is sitting here, who has already gone through all this process, you talk to them. Do not afraid to send an email. It's very important. Right now we have internet available to everybody 24/7. Back in days, we used to use GPRS. I don't know whether you remember that, but we used to have really slow internet, and all the websites in United States universities, those are really, they used to open really slowly. But now you have really high speed internet. You should take advantage of that. A lot of people, they say that, all the social media and everything is bad and all that, but you make best use of that. I am in United States right now because of the social media, and that's a different story for a different day. But I got admission into United States because of Orkut. I don't know whether you know that or not, but we used to communicate with students there. And the same thing, you send an email to a professor, that if you found a university, if you found professor that you are really interested to go in, email them, send them like a snapshot of your profile, attach your publications to that email, attach your CV or resume, so that they can get an idea of what you're doing. That helps. When you talk to students abroad, you find them on LinkedIn or Facebook, anywhere. You talk to them and ask them, whether this university has funding, whether this particular professor has funding. Funding is really crucial. Like PhD and master's admissions happen when there is a funding. The professors there, they take the students into their program if they have funding and they want someone to work on that particular project funded by NIH or NSF. So it's very important for you to have that knowledge. It doesn't matter how great your GRE score is, how great your profile is, if you are applying to a university or department where there is no funding. See, so it's not like when you get rejection that you are rejected. It's that just that you are applied at the wrong time, in wrong department, probably in wrong university. So communication, do not afraid to talk to your seniors, do not afraid to talk to your faculties, your professors, send emails, LinkedIn messages, do not afraid. And a lot of people like me, who are sitting here, we already gone through this process. And someone coming from middle class, we already have insecurities in terms of our financial burden, everything. So it's always good to talk to people and get that confidence and get their feedback. So do not feel apprehensive about that. Go and communicate with anybody who can help you, which you think you can help. And admissions, admissions happen throughout the year, like fall, spring, summer. There are 3 sessions in the United States, but 90 or 95% of the admissions happen in fall session, which starts in August. And admissions for that application starts in December, the year before. So you need to plan accordingly, like you need to plan, okay, if I'm going for fall 2021, because I'm finishing my degree this year, I need to have my GRE and TOEFL score in December itself so that I can start application in December, January. So you plan accordingly. So it's very important to target either fall or spring or summer. So most of the time it's fall. So do that. The selection of universities. And I already talked to you about that. It's very important to select the universities. And there are different criteria. There are rankings you can find online. There is a website called USA Today. If you Google USA Today and rankings, it has ranking of all the universities in United States and department-wise, like pharmaceutical sciences. Like if you want to find out which are top 100 pharmaceutical sciences or pharmacy colleges in United States, you can get that list depending on the funding the university has, depending on the student intake, and depend on the research publications they do. So there are different criteria. So start looking at those universities, go to their websites and see, whether they are getting funding or not. And always choose like a bunch, like top rank universities, mid rank, and low rank universities, so that you have chances everywhere equally. Then important part of the application is SOPs and recommendations. SOP is statement of purpose, where you write down the purpose why you are applying to this university or this particular department. And it's like your autobiography, what you did in the past, what you are doing right now, and what you want to do in the future in terms of your research, in terms of your education and your career goals, academic goals. So, and that is very important. A lot of faculties, a lot of professors, they read that. And recommendations, recommendations are from your faculties, your principal, your dean, your the faculties who taught you. They will write down your recommendations and how good you are or how bad you are. So they need to recommend you, and they need to attest like how good researcher you are, or how good student you are, how good learner you are. So always maintain relationship with your faculties. Even if you leave the college, always be in contact with them, not just for guidance. They can always guide you, but at the same time, you will need their recommendations. So be in contact with them. And once you send these applications to different universities, you will start getting, admission and rejections. If you get admissions, you well and good. It might be with funding, without funding, that's a different thing. But if you get rejections, you get a lot of rejection. I myself have applied multiple times. I myself got multiple rejections. But remember, rejection does not mean that your profile is not good. It's just that you have applied in wrong university, probably at the wrong time. So think that, and always a lot of these universities, they can defer your applications to next semester. And some of the universities, they can do it for 2 years. So once you apply, your application is good for, at least couple of years. So you just defer that, and keep checking on your chances, next semester, keep contacting the faculties there. And then there comes the visa process. If you have admission in good university, if you have good GRE score, there shouldn't be any problem. And I know, you'll get a lot of feedback from different people. Oh, United States is rejecting a lot of applications and not a lot of people are getting visas these days and all that. You will hear a lot of that, noise. But remember, if you have a good university, public university, reputed university with good profile, good GRE score in your own field, there shouldn't be any problem with that. They need students like you, hardworking students like you who can, contribute to their economy and their research. And once you get the degree, you come here, you do your studies, you finish your studies, after that what? You have option. So United States gives you an opportunity to do job in USA. And there are only few ways you can get a job in USA. And then, you might have heard, a lot of IT people, especially, they directly come from India and get the job here. That is called employer sponsored visa. That is H1 visa. And you need a employer to sponsor that visa. He sponsors that, sends your application, and you happen to get, lucky, then you get that visa and you come directly. But it's very difficult. And especially in pharmacy field, I haven't seen many people. There are few, one of my friends, he also got a job like that. He directly came from India and got a job in New Jersey, but it's a rare thing. So the best option is, finish your studies on F1 visa and get the OPT. As I mentioned before, it's a part of F1 visa where you can work for 3 years. And during that 3 years, if you want to stay in United States, you find an employer who can sponsor your visa, and then when you are in United States, it's more likely that, the chances are more that that employer whom you are working with is going to sponsor your visa, because once you work there for a couple of years, you are an important employee, right? They don't want to kick you out and get someone new person, train him, and you don't know whether he's good or not. So if you do your job good and if you're smart and dedicating, they'll sponsor your visa and you get H1 visa. And again, H1 visa, you get it for 3 years and you can extend it up to 3 more years. So you get it for 6 years. So like F1 visa is 3 years and then H1 visa is 6 years. So the best way to get in jobs in United States is to come here to study, to get the degree, either master's or PhD. But you have that option. And in H1 also, there are 2 categories. There is academic visa, non-commercial they call it, and there is a commercial visa, which is non-academic, like when you work for industry. Where H1 commercial has a cap, there are only certain number of applications approved. But in academic, if you're you need H1 for your postdoc, a lot of postdocs come from India, and it is one of the best thing, like those who are doing PhD already in India, it's very easy to get postdoc, and that is called academic H1. Sometimes there are different visas, J1 and all that, but H1 visa is the academic work permit where you can do your postdocs. And these countries like, in the USA, they need researchers like us. So the best thing is to, get into the studies and come here to get your work permit. And of course, there is other thing called green card, like if you have worked here, you can apply in different categories. I don't want to go in details, but there are categories like EB1, EB2, and EB3. EB1 is for, extraordinary ability or international researcher. EB2 is for professionals, and EB3 is for workers. And so we, like researchers like myself, we fall into, excuse me, EB1 category, where we get the green card because we are researcher of importance. We are of extraordinary ability. So we are important for contributing to the research, to the economy of the United States. So we get green card through EB1. And I'll tell you, if you have PhD, you can apply through EB1 and you get green card within a year or two. And if you have any other categories from EB2, EB3, it can take up to 20 to 30 years. So the line is so long for Indians and Chinese especially. So if you have a long-term plan, always have a long-term plan and follow that accordingly. And of course, there's a EAD card. You need, even if you come here on EB1 and your partner, your life partner, your spouse, they always get a EAD card, and where she or he can work on EAD card. So it doesn't mean that once you come here, your spouse has to stay here. Like United States is really good at in that respect. They want people to work. They don't want skilled workers or skilled people to stay at home. This is really workers friendly, or people like us. They want us to get into jobs and contribute to their economy. And of course, I'm pretty sure most of you will have this question, what will happen post COVID, and it's a question for everyone, how difficult that is. But I'm telling you, this is gonna get over. We are in healthcare industry, and there is no way we are gonna get affected too much by this. So there is research funding, there are a lot of pharma jobs, there is no decline in that. Almost you might see numbers, that employment is decreasing and everything, but think of your profession or pharmacy, there is not much going on. And although in terms of admission studies for this year, although the admissions are getting deferred, there are still universities encouraging international students to enroll online or defer their admission to next semester. So it's going to happen, admissions of fall 2021 are going to happen. Do not trust anything. You might hear that, Trump is, banning on immigration and all that. But again, these are all election talks. This is the election year, all politicians like that. So don't worry about that. United States, they want immigration. This is a country of immigrants. So they want you to come here. And it's a great source for money, for the universities also. So what I would do, I'll finish my talk with this, persistence and determination is important. Like when I started, I think time is over, so I'll finish it really fast. I'm telling from my personal experience, nothing comes easy. You have to work at it, and any dream without plan is just a dream, as they say. So plan your career, have a short-term plan, have a long-term plan, and do not follow someone, do not follow your friend, just because he or she is going to MBA, don't go for MBA. Everybody is doing pharmaceutics, don't go for pharmaceutics. Whatever you are gonna do after this is what you are gonna do for your lifetime. So make sure you customize your own plan, decide what you want to do and execute your plan. And talk to people, talk to experienced people. We already gone through this and learn their experiences, but design your own plan and execute that accordingly. And I think I have taken too much time. I think we are already 7:24. So I would like to conclude, and I would like to thank Dr. Somani for this opportunity, and Professor Praveen Jagtap for facilitating this and arranging this webinar for me. And I would like to thank the technical team at D.Y. Patil University College of Pharmacy. And I'm open to any comments or questions you guys might have. And I have my contact information, my email ID, my phone number. You can search my name on LinkedIn if you want to connect. and send me questions, anything related to jobs and studies, especially in pharmacy, because I'm a pharmacist myself. I know a little bit more about that. So please feel free to ask me question, and I'll be happy to answer that.
Thank you, Rahul. So if anyone has a question, kindly put it into a chat section, particularly to me. So we are getting a lots of questions. One of the question is that, sir, can you please give a information about the funding, Renuka Ambekar? So she asked this question, and most of the students have the same question regarding the funding. So can
So
you?
funding, as I meant, yeah. So regarding funding, it's really important, especially when we are going to a country like United States, the expenses are really huge. But I'm telling you, like in masters, it's very difficult to get the funding in first semester. So you have to take the brunt of paying the tuition fees in the first semester. But if you are a good student, you get this good CGPA, and after 6 months, you might get a tuition waiver. You just do not just get the tuition waiver. At the same time, after 6 months, they allow you to work on campus. So you can do a part-time job, and also you can do your studies. So your living expenses, everything is taken care. You get the tuition waiver. They also offer, they call teaching assistantship or research assistantship. In teaching assistantship, you help, professors, teachers, in their grading the papers, or help them doing the vigilance during examination. You help them in some way, and you get paid for that. And there is a research assistantship which is offered to masters and PhD students, where you help the professors doing his research. You do the research in the lab and you get paid. It's called research assistantship, and some of these are available for masters also. In PhD, I'm telling you, if you're coming for PhD, there is a 99% chance that you will get, tuition waiver, and you will get some kind of internship, because masters is a short-term commitment. You come here for only 2 years or less. So you're not that important for that, that professor, because you're going to stay there for only short period of time. So he doesn't want to invest in you. But when you're gonna stay there for 4 to 5 years for your PhD, he knows that you are important for him to carry out his research or her research. So they get you the tuition waiver, they get you the research assistantship, and that is enough for you, to survive and also to save. I remember I used to get $1,500, which is a good money, and most of these universities, when you're students, you don't have much expenses. You live with other students, so it's good. So you always target, you always target what you want to do. If you want to do masters, you need to have some funding for the first 6 months and applications. But if it's a PhD, you just have to have a good score and some money for applications. You are most likely going to get the funding for your for your assistantship and for your tuition waiver.
Okay. There is another question from Sonali Sharma. She's a M.Pharm pharmacology, but wanted to pursue PhD in clinical research. Is that allowed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And as I told you, the flexibility. So I have seen people here, who did PhD in psychology. They had their degree in pharmaceutical sciences. So the USA gives, I don't know about the other countries that much, but in USA, the students get a lot of flexibility in terms of changing their major. You might have a degree in pharmacy, but you want to do something in statistics, you still can do it. You have degree in statistics, you can still do your master's or PhD in pharmacology. You just had to write down the SOP and convince that professor that you are really interested and why you want to do that. So it's great. And you have pharmacology and you want to go in clinical research. It's very easy. It's very easy. You will get that. That's the, I think, one of the important or plus point of the United States education system. It's a lot of flexibility in terms of degrees which you can apply for and the courses you want to take. Yes, you can definitely do that.
Okay. One another question is that whether there is a funding for MS program.
Yes, yes. And as I said, if you're lucky, you might get funding for the first 6 months also. So like it's a 2 years program, just like India, you have 2 years program, you have 4 semesters, you do academic courses for 1 year, and 1 year you dedicate in research. But for first 6 months, it's less likely you might get a tuition waiver, or you might get assistantship right away. But I have seen people getting that also. So there is a chance, if you have a good profile, if you have applied in right department at right time, if there are enough funding available, you do get a funding. So it's just that how much research you do in terms of, the funding available for that faculty, for that university. So always go for a professor who has a lot of funding and who can give you that information. The students who are already working under that professor. So the best thing is, try to go on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, try to find people from that university, communicate with them, ask them whether this particular professor has funding or not. If they say, oh, yes, he has, and then you apply there, then your chances of getting funding, getting scholarship increases. So yes, in master's program, you can also get funding. It's just that PhD, you are sure shot that you're going to get the funding. But in masters, you should be prepared to spend some money in initial 6 months.
Okay. It is good that we are getting a lots of questions, but due to time constraint, we may not be able to address everyone. So there are few questions which will represent everyone. This is one of the question from Rutha Parmar. Sir, what about the students who plan to opt for fall 2021? Will the pandemic affect the application dynamics?
Yeah, yeah. And again, I'm telling you, like uh, when you guys come, when people like India is the second most, I mean, the students like after China, Indian students are the most people coming from abroad to study in United States. So we are also a great source of income, and not everybody like us who are interested in getting funding and all that. There are a lot of people, a lot of rich Indian kids, a lot of rich Indian Chinese kids, they come into United States for studies and they don't get funding. What they do is they come here, they pay the tuition fees, they spend the money. So it's good for their economy. A lot of universities, private universities here, their economy is based on international students. So there is no way that this pandemic is going to affect it. Of course, right now it might seem like, because they cannot allow a lot of students to come inside, and this is the election year. So they want to make sure that they show that they are doing enough to stop the virus. But I'm telling you, it's not going to affect, like one of I'm telling you my own friend's example. One of my friend, he got admission this year for fall. Of course, she cannot come right now, but the university is asking them to defer their admission to spring. So they say that, okay, you cannot come right now, of course, but if you want, you can come in the spring. So she's planning to come in the spring. And I'm telling you, like, this COVID is going to get over, don't worry about that. Keep your plans intact, like if you're planning for fall 2021, go for it, start applying in December, January. And if you're applying during this period, I think it's most likely going to help you. This pandemic, although it might seem like wrong statement, but this pandemic has given us a picture to the whole world that how important pharmacy field is, like how important we are in terms of coming up with new drug or vaccine or whatever it is. So we are not gonna go anywhere as a pharmacy field. So there'll be admissions for sure, and if you apply, if there are less people coming from other countries, it's good for us. It increases your chances actually. So I think you should definitely apply this year or next year, probably fall 2021.
Okay. If I ask you very objectively, this is a question from Amol. How much funding usually granted for PhD?
So it depends on, it depends on a lot of factors, whether you're doing masters or if you're doing PhD, it depends on the faculty, how much funding he has, if it depends on the university. So I'm telling you from my own experience, like in my department, now Dakota State University, everybody used to get $1,200 per month. which is more than enough. I'm telling you, even if you spend a lot of money, you can still, in that city, you can, live your life really good within, like $500 to $600. But most of the students used to get $1,200, which was enough. But my professor, because he had a lot of funding, used to give me $1,500. So again, like when you are studying, you get $1,500 and you're spending $500, $600. I mean, it's nothing can get better than this. So, and in masters, in masters, it depends on hours, how much hours of research assistantship or teaching assistantship you are doing. But I have seen, like my brother-in-law, he did his master's in IT, he had computer sciences. He used to get, $600, $700 per month, which was, again, it was good for him. He could do that and simultaneously some studies. So you get enough money, like in India also, as you know, a lot of PhD and masters, if you're doing in NIPER and all the universities, you do get enough money. Just like that, here also, you do get enough money to sustain.
Okay, so again, there are lots of questions are coming, but due to time constraint, we are going to stop here itself. If you still have any questions, or if you really make your mind to pursue your higher study at USA, then please contact Rahul Nahire. He's available over the Facebook, LinkedIn, and other social platform. So you can contact him. He's certainly there going to assist you in your higher education process. So I'm concluding this session by thanking Dr. Rahul Nahire, as he provide a very basic insight about the GRE, TOEFL, and application process, especially targeting to the USA. And I hope that the most of the students got motivated by your talk and will certainly plan accordingly. By the end of their graduation, they will start applying at US. So thank you, Dr. Rahul Naire, to have such a nice talk and to have an association with D.Y. Patil University of School of Pharmacy. So hereby
Right.
I conclude this session. I thank to all participants, technical team, our principal Dr. Rakesh Somani sir, for providing such a nice platform and motivating us for webinar series. So with this note, I conclude today's session. Thank you all of you.
Thanks, everybody.